Hey there guys, NexGenStriker here, and today I'm here to review The Amazing Spider-Man. So as you guys know, for a long time there's been this split of fans between, the reboot of this Spider-Man franchise. Some people clamor towards the older movie, some people are polarized towards this. Basically, this is what I've seen as far as reviews go though. They either absolutely hate the movie, or they're absolutely drooling over it, perfect, 10 out of 10, etc, etc. Now for me, I'm going to be a little bit more critical, but I'm not going to be extreme. So if you are completely one way, I suggest, if you're sensitive, not to watch this. Just as a warning. And no, I don't hate the movie, just to get that out there. So, let's start off by talking about the plot. Now, a lot of people like to compare this to the original Spider-Man 2002. Do they have a right to do this? Yeah, they do. And the reason is because it goes over the origin story again. Now, people don't seem to realize this, but Spider-Man only really has one origin, so there's not really a way to retell it, being too original. And I think that this movie did the best that it honestly could. It did a really good job of making itself actually completely different than the 2002 Spider-Man, except for, the death of Uncle Ben. That was really the only thing, and the spider bite, that was the only two things that were similar because they both happened. Other than that, everything's completely different. I like that. That was really awesome. Now, the origin story for this really takes a lot longer than it does in the original. So you can really have your comparison of, well, I liked it the fast pace or I liked it the slow pace. Either way, it's really more of a preference. For me, I think I like this version better, but it's just me. Now, I guess we can go on to Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. He is played by Andrew Garfield. Now, I honestly liked him as Spider-Man. I thought he did a phenomenal job. Whenever someone asks him a question, he'll always be all nervous, or if someone starts talking to him, he'll be like, not me, he's nervous, I really like that, he's not like the other Spider-Man where he was really confident to an extent. This Spider-Man's very nervous, he's not very outgoing, until he becomes Spider-Man, then he becomes the complete opposite, which again, he is the best Spider-Man, I also believe, because he just plays Spider-Man perfect. That's just my opinion. So overall, Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man and Peter Parker, A+. Now we move on to Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. Now, I think she also played a very good Gwen Stacy. She was a good love interest. Her and Peter got along very well. I think it was pretty natural. Here's the only complaint I have, though, and this isn't against Emma Stone. It's really against more or less the writing. I think the relationship between Peter Parker and Emma Stone kind of just happened. Because Emma Stone, Gwen Stacy didn't know who Peter Parker was, apparently, at the beginning of the movie. She's like, oh, well, what's your name? And then all of a sudden, Peter asks her out, and then she says yes. It just feels a little bit rushed. There isn't any, friendship, because they were friends in the comics. There's not really that there. But after that happens, I think they are perfect for each other because Emma Stone is also very nervous. So yeah, that's really good. I liked her. She was a great female lead, and I think she did a great job. Now we move on to the thing that I really disliked about the movie. Now, here's where, some of the fanboyism might come in and backlash me, but I digress. The Lizard sucked. I'm just throwing that out there right now. He was not good. Now, the reason I say this is because the actual Lizard was alright. I mean, he was a villain. He was very powerful. He thrown Spider-Man very easily. Spider-Man really was powerless against him whenever he fought him face to face. I mean, that was pretty good, but the actual Dr. Connors was not. The reason is because his goals are just, they don't make any sense, At first, he's just a scientist who wants to get his arm back, and then he gets crazy. And it's never really explained why he's like this. It just happens. Now, I know in the comics, I believe he's schizophrenic, but in the movie, it doesn't explain that. So you can't go into this just saying, oh, well, he's schizophrenic. The movie has to explain that he's schizophrenic for it to work. You see what I'm saying? So this isn't explained, and, it makes him not really likable. You don't know what's going on in his head. He doesn't have a social life that we know of. He doesn't have a family that we know of. He's just a doctor. That's all he is, That's kind of sad because Dr. Connors is a pretty interesting character. I thought in the original trilogy he was played, fairly well. I mean, he never turned into the Lizard, so we can't really say anything against that. But, in this one, he's just not really relatable. He just works with Peter's dad, and that's all we know. So yeah, after all that, how does the actual movie wrap up? Well, people are also comparing this to The Dark Knight, and it's also understandable why, because it's 2.5 hours. It is a little long, so if you like longer movies, good for you. I was pretty tired when I saw this movie, so the length didn't do it for me too well, but I think what they did with it in the 2.5 hours was good. So that was awesome. And they also compared it to The Dark Knight because they think it's ripping off the darkness. I don't really understand how it's dark, because apparently everything is dark if it has any sort of, if it's not like happy-go-lucky, hero saves the day, everything's all bright and glorious, it's dark, so whatever. It's not really that dark. It's not like some scary movie or anything. It's just tragic at times. Like, Uncle Ben's death, I think, was the saddest thing I've ever seen in all of the Spider-Man movies. They really did that whole thing very well, so overall, I guess the best and most important question I can answer is the movie amazing? And I say, yes, it is. If you're a Spider-Man fan, go see the movie. I know the review seems kind of all around the place, but, there's a lot to talk about with this movie. I'm not really going to go into the plot very much because I don't want to spoil what happens. The one thing, though, I will say about plot spoilers is that I think that they did overhype the movie way too much, simply because they showed off what seemed like the biggest parts of the movie before we got to see the movie, mostly. So, I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't perfect, it was flawed, but it was pretty good. I'm interested to see what they're going to do in the sequel, which is coming out in 2 years. It's already confirmed. We just don't know if Mark Webb's going to be on board. Hope he is, but we'll see. Now, as far as, does this one have a secret ending? Well, I would just suggest staying in the theater a little after the credits. Just a little heads up. Now, that's all I had to say. Take that for granted. I'm not going to actually give a score, because when I actually watch it on Blu-ray /DVD / whatever I buy it on, I don't know, vinyl record, I'll probably give it a higher score because, I just really wasn't that awake. But I think it was a good movie. It just wasn't perfect. So yeah, there you go. Take it for what it is. Go see it. Awesome. The Lizard sucks. Other than that, pretty good. That's all I had to say today, guys. Catch you guys later.